Hello. First thing I want to talk about today is the books I read in May. I read 4 books. I'm typically a slow reader, so like 4 or 5 is the max I'll hit in a month. Also, by the way, I have allergies, so I'm sorry if I'm sniffly, but I read books 2 and 3 in the Neapolitan series, and oh my god, they're very good. I feel like one of the neighbors just like out of my window listening in on everything that's happening in the neighborhood. Very excited to read the last book. I'm reading it with a friend. We're gonna read the last book next month, and then we're gonna watch the series together. This is so juicy, just gossip, and I love books that are gossipy. Call that trashy, I don't care. I think it's fun. And if you haven't read these books and you like the idea of just like peering in on somebody's life and everything that they're doing and judging them for their choices, I highly recommend it. Or also if you're interested in post-World War II Italy, that could be a fun read. And then there's also a lot of talk about communism, classism, capitalism. So if that interests you, you should read it. Next, this was my number 1 read of this year. And then I read another book, and that became my number 1 read. But this is incredibly good, and I need people to talk about her writing more because it's phenomenal. It's called Lucy by Jamaica Kincaid. This follows a 19-year-old au pair in the States who's originally from the West Indies, and it's about the dissonance between those who are privileged and those who will never gain privilege no matter what happens. And also the mother-daughter relationship and the way that she is able to put feelings into words is astounding and needs more attention because it's actually amazing. I do plan on picking up more from her because this was so good. I want to read a line from this. She was almost out of the room when she turned and said, "I was looking forward to telling you that I have Indian blood, that the reason I'm so good at catching fish and hunting birds and roasting corn and doing all sorts of things is that I have Indian blood. But now I don't know why. I feel like I shouldn't tell you that. I feel like you will take it the wrong way." This really surprised me. What way should I take this? Wrong way, right way? What could she mean? To look at her, there was nothing remotely like an Indian about her. Why claim a thing like that? I myself had Indian blood in me. My grandmother is a Carib Indian. That makes me 1/4 Carib Indian. But I don't go around saying that I have some Indian blood in me. The Carib Indians were good sailors, but I don't like to be on the sea. I only like to look at it. To me, my grandmother is my grandmother, not an Indian. My grandmother is alive. The Indians she came from are all dead. If someone could get away with it, I am sure they would put my grandmother in a museum as an example of something that, now extinct in nature, one of a handful still alive. In fact, one of the museums of which Mariah had taken me devoted a whole section to the people, all dead, who are more or less related to my grandmother. Mariah says, "I have Indian blood in me," and underneath everything, I could swear she says it as if she were announcing she possessed a trophy. How do you get to be the sort of victor who can claim to be the vanquished also? That's so good. After that, I read No One Is Talking About This by Patricia Lockwood. I can't even put it into words how amazing and phenomenal that book is. I got that recommendation from Frankie's Bookshelf, and I love their videos, and I really trust their recommendations because they just have really good taste. This one I got from the library, so I don't have a physical copy, but I am hunting for one. It's about a young woman who is like a micro internet celebrity on Twitter, except like the internet is called The Portal, and it's all very ironic Twitter humor. And it's about how we all talk about the downfall of America and never really take anything that seriously because we've all fallen for meme culture and irony and needing to make a joke out of everything and never take anything that deep. And her sister's pregnant while this woman is off living in like the city and traveling to Europe in Australia and giving a bunch of talks about being a micro internet celebrity, and her sister finds out that there is something wrong with the pregnancy, and they live in Ohio, so abortion's out of the question. They had to petition They had to do something like with the ethics organization of the hospital to be able to induce labor to at least have the baby now, because it was growing and growing and growing, and they're all around waiting for the baby to die, and it's not dying, and the baby's breathing and crying and doing the things that a baby should do. It's so good. Like, I cried. When a book makes you emotional, the author was able to really make you feel things, and that's an accomplishment, even if the book's not that good. This book's extraordinary, however. And they don't know what's gonna happen to the baby, if the baby's gonna make it very long or not. Babies with this condition are dead in the womb. Like, they are birthed and they're not able to get themselves breathing. The baby itself needs to be reminded to breathe. If you, like, they're instructed by the doctor, if you notice the baby stop breathing, give it a little pinch on the nail, something to remind it to keep going. This woman doesn't live at home where the rest of her family lives, so she keeps on flying back every week to see the baby. And her husband's like, why do you keep on leaving? Just settle down. Stay home with me. Man behavior. She says this thing that really resonated with me. She says, I don't know how many minutes the baby has. I want to give the baby all of my minutes. And then she thinks to herself, I don't even know what I was doing with my minutes beforehand. I couldn't, and genuinely, that made me reflect, I cannot tell you what I saw for, the 30 minutes I was on my phone this morning. I could not tell you everything that I saw. I saw so much. That just really makes you think. Anyway, now let's talk about the books I want to read for the summer. I tend to be more of a mood reader. I don't really give myself a list and I'm like, okay, you have to read that book and you have to read that book. I just look at my TBR and I'm like, okay, these are the books I would really like to read. Let's put those high up on the docket. However, if there's more I want to read, I'll just read that. And so I'll do it by season because that just feels right to me. I'll show you those books now. First, I have Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman. I actually don't know how to say his last name. Is it Aciman? Anyway, I know that this one's controversial and I don't disagree at all. I just think that this book is personally important to me, and that's it. I don't think everybody should read this book. I don't think everybody should support this author. I just happened to read this at a point in time where I was unpacking a lot of trauma, and this was able to lead me through that. So I like to reread it every few years and reflect on what that means to me. So I'm going to read it again this year. It's been 3 years since the last time I read it. So the first time I read it, I was 17. It was in 2019. So yeah. Next, I'm going to read The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. Maybe. I haven't read anything by him. If I'm honest, he seems a bit too pretentious for me, but maybe he's not. Maybe I read that wrong. We'll see. Next on the list, I have Emma by Jane Austen. I know that this is her least popular. I'm pretty sure not very many people like this. I think it's pretty funny. I read through about half of it. I never read the whole thing. I missed the craze last summer, so I'm going to read it this summer. Summer by Edith Wharton. I read Ethan Frome by her earlier this year and I loved it so much. I want another. This one I've been reading, but very slowly. Takes a lot out of me to read. It's very sad. If you've read it, you know. Notes of a Crocodile by Chi Miaojin. I'm very sorry. If you don't know, it's queer in the early 90s literature set in Taiwan, and it's so sad. And the emotions that she's feeling are very depressing. And it's very well written, but man, is it sad. And last on the list, I have The Vet's Daughter by Barbara Commons. This is like a summer-ween kind of pick. I wanted a little scary boost to hold me through the heat because I hate the summer. I feel like the same amount of people that hate summer also love summer. I don't think it's very controversial to say whether or not you hate a season, but I live in the desert, so I hate summer. It's so hot. It's so hot and it's so dry. So yeah, The Vet's Daughter by Barbara Commons. I started wearing a new moisturizer and sunscreen, and I started it on the same day, but you can't really tell. I have like a rash on my forehead. So that's nice. Well, today I only put on the new moisturizer, so we'll see how my skin looks tomorrow morning. I'll only wear the sunscreen and see what I look like the next day. We'll see if that works. I feel like I should actually purge my skin and then try it again, but I'm not patient. So, okay. I'm going to make a short form video and post that. And then I'm going to eat some breakfast because I haven't eaten yet today. I've been having Greek yogurt with graham crackers and strawberries, like a little fun cheesecake for me in the morning. And then also, I got this at a farmer's market, but they also sell online. The brand is Calito Fragrances. They only have like body sprays. This smells like a rose. If you like rose, you would like this. I just relate roses to the Southwest for some reason. Maybe it's all the Western media with roses. Okay, bye. Hello. Okay, I'm back. It's been 2 days since I last saw you guys. I last filmed on Tuesday and now it's Friday. I've mostly just been working and then I've been reading, so I'll update you guys about that. I got these 2 books at the bookstore. This is the one that I read last month from the library. That was so good. And then I got the last part of the Neapolitan Quartet that I'm reading with a friend. So we can finally finish this series and then we're gonna watch the TV show together, which I'm very excited for. I did read some of this today. I got to about page 50, I think. Very intriguing first 50 pages. If you haven't picked up this series yet, I highly recommend it if you love stories about friendship. And then I have to update you about Call Me By Your Name. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this previously, but this is, I think, my 4th reread. I read it and then I read it and annotated it, and then about 4 years after I initially read it, I went back through and annotated again, and now 3 years after that, I'm going through and I'm annotating it again. I feel like it's one of those books for me, and I feel like everybody has this kind of book. I was just introduced to it at a certain age where I was learning a lot about myself, and I found a lot of me when I was discovering all these new things in the character of the book. For me, Elio. It's always interesting to reflect on things that were important to you during different stages of your life. Sometimes it's sad, sometimes it makes you laugh. I'm about just under halfway through with Call Me By Your Name, and I wouldn't necessarily say I'm enjoying it, but I am getting very introspective, which is nice to be sometimes. But that's it for this update. Also, the AC just turned on, so I'm sorry if that's loud. I also rented Angel by Elizabeth Taylor from the library recently. And so I've been reading that at night just on my phone because I got it on Libby. I think I'm on page 20 or so. Thoroughly enjoying her writing. I think her writing style is almost cartoonish. She doesn't go too into depth about things. Like some writers need to give you every speck of dust and every detail about what's happening. Like what I'm finding in Call Me By Your Name is I don't remember him using metaphors over and over, just like paragraphs and paragraphs of just metaphor over the same thing. So it's like a nice breath of air going into Angel by Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor, the author, not the actress. Different people. It makes me excited for this story to come. I wonder how Angel as a person is going to learn from her mistakes. So today is June 5th and Anthony Stewart Head has passed away. He plays Giles in the TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which if you know me personally, you know that is one of my most beloved things on the face of the planet. My first tattoo ever was Buffy the Vampire Slayer themed. So I'm a little down in the dumps, easy to say. I did a lot of reading today just because when I'm sad, it's nice to take my mind off things. And a great way to do that is, for me anyways, is reading. I'm going to watch Buffy for the rest of the night just to reflect on life a little bit. Yeah, that's it for today. Tomorrow, I might update you depending on how much reading I'm able to get done in the morning. I do have to work tomorrow, so don't have high expectations on that. Anyway, I don't have any weekend plans besides working, and then I have Monday off, so a friend and I are going to get coffee. My friend that I read My Brilliant Friend with, we're gonna get coffee, and then we're going to go to a used bookstore, and I'm hopeful I'll find more Jamaica Kincaid there. If not, I do have other authors on my list that I want to collect some of their books to put on my TBR. I do rent from the library a lot, and I've started doing this in the past year. Like, I started this last year just because I've noticed that I'll buy books based off of recommendations and then be significantly disappointed. So I stopped doing that. I don't really blind buy books anymore. I'll rent them from the library, and sometimes I'll read a couple of pages and realize that it's just not for me, or I'll read a few pages and be like, oh my gosh, I need this in my hands, and I'll go buy it. Or most typically, I'll read the whole thing and then I'll put it on a little list of books I need to buy. So I think those ones are my priority of what I want to buy, just because I've already read them. And then there's some others that I already know that I'm going to like and I want to buy, but I haven't read them yet. I got these little booklets from Daiso. They're super tiny. Also, my favorite pens are the ones that they sell at Daiso in like the little packets of 3. They don't smudge. I don't even know the pen size, but the pen size is like the perfect size. Like, that's what it looks like. So I sort them by author's last name, and I went through and I numbered all of the pages, and then I'll just list. The Vegetarian I've read and I need to get. We Always Lived in a Castle by Shirley Jackson I've read and I need to get. Hunchback by Sao Ichikawa I've read and I really want to get. I really enjoyed that book. So I think I'll mark a few of those off of this first, but we'll see when Monday comes. I'll let you know then. Bye. I just got back from hanging out with my friend. We went to a used bookstore near us, and I was wearing London 1983 by Henry Rose, and she complimented me on it, and I actually really like this. It's a nice musky floral scent. Perfect for anyone who likes to kind of smell like a grandmother like me. I'm not a big gourmand person, and also I feel like gourmands in the summer is just abrasive, as well as like really woody or smoky scents, which I do have a lot of woody ones, and you have to just like be careful because I love a cozy smell, but sometimes in the summer it just feels kind of abrasive. I do really want the new Glacier scent. I think it's either like Soleil or Soleil or something like that. I really want that because it smells like warm sand. Like, it smells like when you're freezing from getting out of the pool and wrapping yourself up in a towel that's just been baking in the sun. Like, it smells like when the sun is baking something and the coziness of it. But anyway, I'll show you what I got while I was out. The first one I got is Shop Girl by Steve Martin. The Steve Martin, by the way. I got it because the cover is so gorgeous, but I didn't really read what it was about or anything. I just like the cover. Maybe I'll try to read this soon so I can say definitively whether or not this is good. I do buy a lot of Steve Martin things, not because of my love for Steve Martin necessarily, more so that my grandpa reminded me so much of Steve Martin. After his passing, I collect Steve Martin stuff as a way to pay tribute to my grandfather. And then I got One No One and 100,000 by Luigi Pirandello. I got this because Lenu in My Brilliant Friend said that she was reading it, so I'm curious what other Italian literature was important during that time. And then I got Annie John by Jamaica Kincaid because, as I said earlier, I loved Lucy by Jamaica Kincaid, and I want to know more and more about what she writes. So I got one more. And then I got Weasels in the Attic by Hiroko Oyamada. I read the whole by her, and it was pretty intriguing. It wasn't outstanding by any means, but it was still very good, and I'm curious about what else she has to offer. And then I got The Long Valley by John Steinbeck. I collect these 20th century classics, the Penguin 20th century classics, particularly the John Steinbecks. But I try to collect things that I know I will read or am interested in. I don't just like blindly collect one series of things or one series of publishing. And then that's everything I got. And then now to do a bit of a reading update for the end of the week now. I started this last Tuesday and now it's Monday. So The Story of the Lost Child. This is the final book in the My Brilliant Friends series, the Neapolitan Quartet. I'm on page 139, so part 39, and I still have so much left to go. This is a hefty book, but I want to be done with it by the end of this week because I am so interested in what is happening. It's getting crazier and crazier. And then this weekend I haven't made any progress in Call Me By Your Name, but I'm about to head out and go hang out at my friend's pool, and I'm gonna read this while I'm there. And then tomorrow I'm free until 3, so I'm probably gonna read this all day until then. So I also want to be done with this by the end of the week. I have yet to read a book this month. We'll be okay. I don't know if I've made this clear yet. I am a slow reader. Reading isn't my only hobby in the world, so I don't tend to read as fast as other people do, and I don't see that changing unless I'm able to monetize off of it, because I do need a job. I do love to be with friends, and I do love watching movies. I'm never concerned about my reading count as long as I'm reading something at a time. So that's it for me this week, and I will see you guys next week with all my other reading adventures.